In the heart of South America is a remote, secretive world. A violent paradise, filled with exotic creatures. Searing dry land and devastating floods keep them in a battle for survival. Caimans rule the water. But jaguars dominate on land. Journey into Brazil's wetlands for a rare, intimate look at the kingdom of the jaguar. It's been 3 lean months for the jaguar. As the annual floodwaters drain away, Brazil's Pantanal once again becomes big cat territory. Freshly dry riverbanks offer the largest cat in the Americas new opportunities to close in on its prey. And it will even take on the water's greatest predator. Relative to its size, the jaguar has the strongest bite of any big cat. It needs all its strength to overcome the deadly adversary. And hunger threatens to sap the big cat's energy. The jaguar's deadliest skills lie in stalking and ambush. The caiman manages to slip away. But the battle between these two apex predators plays out on a stage set by the most extreme elements on Earth. Covering an area larger than the whole of England, the Pantanal wetland lies to the south of the Amazon rainforest. The labyrinth of unexplored rivers is the only way to navigate this wilderness. It looks idyllic, but life here is harsh. Each year the land suffers a fierce dry season, followed by tempestuous rains and floods. Some land animals can mate only in the brief window of the dry season. The landscape undergoes constant change. Hundreds of different species of fish navigate the Pantanal's narrow channels that rapidly swell to floodplains. April is a time of plenty for the animals that feed on fish. When the water level drops sharply after the floods, the fish crowd into smaller areas. The sudden mass of fish makes an ideal buffet for aquatic birds like these storks, the tallest flying birds in South and Central America. They tower up to 1.5 meters, and their wings span over 2.5 meters across. Native Brazilians call them jabiru, the bird with the swollen neck. Adult jabiru storks are mute, but they still find a way to communicate. This pair clatter their bills to strengthen their bond. Many scientists believe partners make a lifetime commitment. They certainly invest a lot of effort in homemaking. The annual makeover of their home after the flood is a signal that the birds are planning for the arrival of chicks in the near future. The surrounding area is filled with other water birds nesting. Stork courtship starts in the sky. They may look a little ungainly on the ground, but once in the air, they become graceful. Mating is a delicate balancing act. They only have a short time to hatch new chicks and teach them to fly. When the rains come and the fish scatter, the storks will leave for better hunting grounds. The first dry months in the Pantanal are good times for all the forest animals. Flooded areas shrink, and extraordinary creatures return. Agouti, small relatives of guinea pigs, plunder hidden stores of seeds and nuts. Even tapirs show up. These large grazers shovel food with their snouts, which can also serve as a snorkel. Native pigs, called peccaries, will eat almost anything. Monkeys, including howlers, stock up on food revealed as the floodwaters recede. Beaches emerge, offering fresh territory for animals to colonize. Black skimmers set up new nests on the sand. One new beach provides a fresh rest area for a different family, capybaras and their small young. The barrel-chested creatures let everyone know where they are, whistling and chirping to each other. This extended family sticks together. They even suckle each other's young and share parenting duties. But the tiny young tire easily and are particularly vulnerable. They would make a great bite-sized snack for a jaguar or a caiman, or even the vultures and anacondas. They keep a constant eye out for danger and are aware of this jaguar lurking on the far bank. As it continues up the river bank, it spots another group of its favorite prey. Right now, one small capybara would make a perfect meal. But a warning bark and an explosive jump puts them out of reach. Capybaras can hold their breath underwater for a full 5 minutes. Their tactics win today's deadly game of cat and mouse. The jaguar goes away hungry. By May, the dry season is underway, but the heat hasn't yet reached its peak. The Pantanal's floods continue their retreat. Waterbirds are ready to lay their eggs. They muster in great numbers, causing the nesting grounds to come alive with activity. Only a week after mating, the Jabiru stork couple has already laid its eggs. The male brings a slippery supper home to his mate. The couple shares the parenting, protecting their offspring with their wings from the glare of the sun by day and keeping them warm at night. The peak weeks of July to August offer a narrow window of near perfection for land animals, and peace reigns in the Pantanal. Caimans and capybaras are no longer starving. Predator and prey enjoy a break in hostilities. These times of abundance may even be the cause of something highly unusual. Two male jaguars are resting together by the river. Until recently, scientists believed all male jaguars were loners. But here, the big cat's behavior suggests this isn't true. They could be brothers. Suddenly, a third jaguar appears, a female, looking for a mate. The next day, the female gives the signal that she's ready. Their time together seems more like a brawl than a romantic interlude. Pink blossoms on the ipe trees herald the dry season. It's now close to 40 degrees Celsius in the shade. Birds cool themselves in the water. Howler monkeys still profit from the abundant food. All the animals will need to be as fit as possible for the hard times that lie ahead. Howlers are among the largest monkeys in the New World. Their dawn calls can be heard from over 4 kilometers away. But these mysterious noises are not howlers. Another female jaguar calls out to a male. The relaxed mood in the forest affects this couple too. Even the alarm calls of the capybaras on the other bank don't disturb them. They stay focused on each other. Jaguar females are old enough to mate when they reach about 2 years old, and males at 3 or 4. Frequent sex is the only way for couples to guarantee they'll have cubs. This pair's behavior is surprisingly unaggressive. Perhaps these two are long-term partners that live separately, but return together to mate. Jaguars' social lives remain a mystery. They're believed to mate at any time of year, and afterwards the male abandons her. The mother is expected to bring up their cubs on her own. By August, the Pantanal becomes drier and even hotter. Four Jabiru stork chicks have just hatched. They have no feathers yet and depend on their parents for all their needs. Their mother feeds them fresh fish. When one small fish is too large for their little beaks, she takes it back to break it up in her throat. Each adult lavishes constant care on the nest. They're shoring it up to withstand the wind and rain of the coming storms. Their finished eyrie may reach 1 meter across and be nearly 2 meters deep. Big enough for monk parakeets to make their own home in the base. The heat intensifies, and deadly thirst threatens the chicks confined to the nest. Their parents bring what water they can. Despite their best efforts, not all the chicks survive. The smallest perishes. The mother has the grisly task of removing the remains from the nest. By the end of September, the temperature rises to its peak, almost 45 degrees Celsius. 6 months ago, there was too much water. Now, there is little or none. Even stronger animals like the tapir are weakened by the heat. A pair of marsh deer struggles to cool themselves. Eventually, they find relief in this modest lagoon. The water shortage forces all animals to rely on the same pools. Quarrels break out. Such extreme heat is too much for the capybara's bulky bodies. They cool themselves in a shrinking pool. So much exposed prey tempts predators. Caimans are now to be feared on land. An unwary darter dries its wings, and the jaguar decides to go for it. It's a close call. Now the jaguar turns his attention to a capybara. It sneaks up silently until it is in range. The capybara escapes to live another day, but the ravenous jaguar has a distinct advantage over its prey: superior night vision. It will wait and will launch an attack under cover of darkness. Life and death are at stake in Brazil's wetlands. Losers pay with their hides. The jaguar misses out on a meal again, but changing conditions will soon tip the scales in favor of the cat. It's 6 months since the floods disappeared. The dry season is at its peak. Scorching sun claims victims throughout the forest. Its fiery embrace even fells trees. It sears the life out of caimans and fish alike. The extreme warmth energizes reptiles, but provides little to eat. A few carnivorous scavengers like these caracara birds are actually doing quite well. The capybaras swelter in their fur coats. Only a mud bath can cool them down. When starvation threatens, neighbors turn on each other. The animals make risky journeys to find water to drink or to wallow. All are exposed and open to attack. Peccaries will eat anything. Grasses, fruit, even roots, but now it's hard to find anything. Desperation drives them to the mud banks. Here they chew mud for salts and even lick it off each other. The water level is well below normal. The young must learn adult skills to see them through the coming months. The black skimmer chicks, born on the beach, fish for themselves now and learn a vital life lesson. Hang on tight to what you've earned. With fish scarce, storks can no longer hunt in groups. Hunting in the remaining shallow waters brings new dangers. The father stork faces unwelcome competition from a set of longer and fiercer jaws. Yellow-rumped caciques build their nests in the dry season, like many other birds in the Pantanal. Thirsty capuchin monkeys risk coming down from the safety of the branches onto open ground. They sense danger, even if they can't see it. The female jaguar is pregnant now. She finds an oasis and makes it her home, but she still has to hunt. With no cover, she is exposed. And on the bare banks, her camouflage doesn't help her. Now she relies on luck and surprise. She spots a potential meal, a caiman. A stealthy, silent approach is called for. She lays her paws down in slow motion, careful not to cause vibrations on the ground that might betray her. This time, the caiman is too fast for her. Now she will try letting the meal come to her. The capybara haven't spotted her among the roots, but they are wary. A mother tries to sneak out of sight. She may have hidden a baby in the undergrowth. A terrible drama can be heard taking place. These are the baby capybara's final moments. The mother escapes. After weeks of blazing heat, the sky is heavy with the promise of rain. The coming deluges will present other youngsters with trials of their own. The stork chicks, once covered in down, now have flight feathers. They need to master flying quickly, but it's a long drop to the ground if they fall. Next, they must master fishing. When the bad weather arrives, their parents will fly to regions where food is easier to find. The young will learn to fend for themselves as they travel, or starve en route. Catching a stranded fish may not be difficult, but working the beak is like using chopsticks for the first time. It's all too much, and the chick is reduced to begging. He taps on his mother's bill. If he can't stimulate her to give him some food, he'll soon succumb to hunger. Not all are so lucky. In the Pantanal, a hungry chick is only a mouthful away from death. After 6 dry months, in early October, the first rains arrive. The face of the Pantanal changes once more. Soon, 80% of the land will flood. Banks and forests will disappear. Life must adapt to the emerging water world or die. Many birds will migrate, but the Pantanal animals have special skills to survive in the marshy surroundings. By the beginning of the wet season, the stork chicks are in a race against time. They must be able to fly with their parents to better feeding grounds, or stay and face starvation. Three supposedly solitary jaguars are roaming together in the bush: a male, a female, and a cub. The two adults set off across the water. The big cub, separated from the adults on the bank of the river, calls for her mother. Her mother comes back for her and leads her to the water. They follow the male, perhaps the cub's father. This may be the first time a jaguar family has ever been filmed together. In December, as the full rains return, the Pantanal becomes a drowned world once again. For the jaguars, paradise turns to purgatory. Riverbanks are inundated. Hunting becomes more difficult, and finding a dry spot is tricky. A dead branch is all this jaguar can find, with no potential prey in sight. The jaguars scour the land for anything to fill their bellies. Resorting to eating from a rotting carcass can make them sick. These are not good times, and the outlook is bleak. As more land disappears underwater, the lack of prey leaves land dwellers weak and thin. Deep scars on this female's leg are evidence of the desperate risks she takes for food. It's the last chance for the young storks to follow the others in search of food. Finally, like many of the other animals, they flee. The Pantanal has become a watery desert where prey is sparse and all but invisible. The jaguar's realm has been submerged. Unrelenting rains bring welcome relief and new hiding places for water dwellers. The starving jaguar can't afford to miss any chance of a meal. It marks its territory and goes in search of the meat that will make the difference between life and death. At last, its strong paws and ferocious bite give it a fatal advantage even against the toughest competitor in the jungle. The caiman's flesh will keep it going for days. The jaguar is the true ruler of this domain. Soon his kingdom will rise again from the water's grip. The land will return, and with it, days of plenty. The Pantanal will once again become the land of the jaguar.